listen, hopefully we've got plenty of winners. We'll go through it race by race. There's 6 races at Ascot on Saturday. But first of all, we'll look at which team is going to win. So, James, if you can give us your... make history with your first burst of Postcast prices on who's going to win.
Well, it's really the Irish team, and they're at the top of the betting market at 15-8. We've got Europe, which is a strange European team. A lot of people probably might know a lot of these jockeys. A man from Holland, Germany and Italy. Europe are 5-2. Rest of the world 11-4. And we've got the girls, and we might have a new girl on standby, Holly Doyle. Well, they're the outsiders at 4-1.
Yeah, perhaps, Lee, you could, before we go crack on, let's bring you the latest, because the Shergar Cup became the Sweargar Cup, didn't it, yesterday, with Michelle Payne throwing a double six. What's the latest? Is she likely to ride, do you think?
It looks like it could be a close call. She's saying to ASCOT that she expects to ride, but she's picked up a stomach bug on the way or on arriving in Britain. And the BHA put out a statement about 10 minutes ago, as I talk now, basically saying that she'll have to pass the doctor at ASCOT tomorrow in order to ride. On the possibility that she can't ride, ASCOT have drafted in Holly Doyle to take part at ASCOT before going on to Lingfield. So it would be a long way to come to do nothing, wouldn't it?
It certainly would, yeah.
But she, by all accounts, wasn't in a particularly good mood yesterday or in good shape yesterday.
Oh, dear.
It was most unfortunate.
Who's going to win? It's the silver saddle for top rider, isn't it? So, James, give us Paddy Power's prices on that, if you would.
Yeah, Neil Callan's top of the betting market. He's got some good rides in the first 2 races, 3-1. Kieran McAvoy's 9-2. Andre De Vers is 9-2 as well. Then we have Rispoli 7s, Emma Jane Wilson 7s, Hayley Turner's 8s, Fran Berry's 11s, and 12-1 bar.
Lee, do you have a view on who's going to be the silver, or what, the team or the silver saddle winner?
No strong view, no. But I think with this sort of bet, it's for me just entirely price based, and I think the girls as the outsiders. Two of the horses I'm tipping are ridden by the girls, so I'd be going with them, and probably Emma Jane Wilson for the silver saddle.
If they win, we can dust off our Shergar Babes headline, can't we?
Yeah, Shergar Babes. Yes.
And then decide we're not going to do it because we don't refer to girls as babes at the Racing Post.
Historic day tomorrow as well, if that does happen, because Catherine Fiddler is editing the Racing Post.
Wow, fantastic! Yeah,
the first lady to edit the Racing Post tomorrow.
Tremendous. That's great news.
Great coincidence.
Yeah, that is good. Brendan, have you looked through who's going to win the team or the individual awards? I'm betting no.
I did have a look, actually. I just thought, trying to work it out in my head. I didn't get a spreadsheet out or anything, but I like the British Isles. I thought both Fran and Jamie had some nice rides. I thought they might get the British Isles over the line. And Andre De Vries, who's very impressive, the bits I've seen of him, looks a proper pilot, this guy. I thought he had some nice rides for the Solo Award.
OK, let's crack on then. 105, it's the Dubai Duty Free Shergar Cup Dash. Let's just call them the Dash, the Stays, etc., because they're all Dubai Duty Free Shergar Cup. So the Dash, 105, first heat. James, how do Paddy Power bet on that one?
So we've gone for Piper's Notes at the top of the betting market at 3-1. Lexington Abbey for Kieran McAvoy's 4-1. Mears at the top weight for Fran Perry 11-2. Stake of Claim is 13-2. And then we've Tropics at 7-1. One of the reserves, Harkham, is 7-1 and 8-1 bar those.
How's he not on Radio 2?
Very good, isn't
it? What a voice.
There's a guy, what's his name, Jay? Is it Ryan Tubridy? Tubridy?
Ryan Tubridy, he's the centre of our late show here.
Yeah. Your voice strikes me as very similar to his. And he's done very well, so it's got to bode well for you.
Let's hope your salary
He's on a lot more money than me.
No, well, you need to be pushing for more then, don't you?
Right, Lee, enough of that. Let's come up with some good bets here. Who's going to win the 105?
I thought this was by some way the best race on the ASCOT card. Not saying it goes downhill after this, but this is definitely, I thought, the most interesting race. I thought the Robert Carroll horses were interesting, given he's got a great record in the contest. But if you allow me a little anecdote, at Goodwood last Thursday, I represented Dean Ivory in the Stewards Cup draw. So I said stall 15 in the horse came from stall. I did.
Wow.
Dean Ivory's part in the victory was bigger than mine, to be fair. But even so, I did say stall 15.
It was the last one out but one, though, was it? Was that or 29?
No, it was middle.
It was early doors.
Sort of halfway through, yeah.
Well played.
Now, at that point, well, to be fair, he did sort of say to go for a middle draw, so I can't really take much credit at all, really. But I did say 15. But anyway, he had 3 horses he was planning to run in the race. I got the impression the one he was fancying most was Tropic, so he didn't run in the race. He said afterwards he thought he'd save him for another day. I think this could be the day for him. He's plummeted down the weight since he last ran in the handicap. Has been a bit disappointing, but I could well see him bouncing back under Emma Jane Wilson.
Righty-ho. Brendan, what do you think is going to happen here?
Well, in punting as in life, Bruce, I like to keep things as simple as possible and back the best horse in the race, and that is Mirza, rated 105 in a 0 to 105, has form at Ascot on easy ground. This ticks basically every box I want in horse. I thought Mirza should be favourite, and she isn't, so I'd be backing her.
And obviously a good form line with Batash. There's no harm in that, is there, by any means?
Yeah.
Okay. James, your first ever Postcast tip. I'm sure you're a bag of nerves. Who are you going to go for?
Well, I'm going to follow Brendan here. I think Mercer with that Batash form is spot on from that Sandown run. Likes it here as well, as Brendan has says. I'm just going to copy here. This race, by the way, is an extra place race here with us at Paddy Power, so 4 places on offer in the first.
4 places, and you can get that on Paddy Power's products or, of course, the Racing Post app. The 140 is the Stayers over 2 miles. We call it 2 miles. They call it 1 mile 7, 209 yards. Swashbuckle, I believe, is the jolly here, James.
Yeah, top of the betting 9 to 4. Byron Flyer for Ian Williams is a great record in this race, 7 to 2. Graceland 7 to 2. Angel Gabriel 6 to 1 and 10 to 1 bar those for this one. This is one of our money back races.
Okay, how does that work?
So it's money back as a free bet if your selection is 2nd, 3rd or 4th to the SP favourite.
Blimey, that sounds good. Brendan, with that in mind, who are you going to be backing?
Well, I'd be backing one of the price here. I like this Yukon Glen. There's plenty of upside with this horse. He's a 4-year-old, but he's only had 14 runs. Now, on his penultimate start, he won a race in air, and the handicapper only put him up £1, so kind of didn't believe the form. And I could see why, because the third was Prescott, horse 4 to 7, didn't run his race. So I could see why he only put him up £1. But then it ran really well in the Old Newton Cup. It was carved up about a furlong and a half down, but he was only beaten 5 lengths. Definitely would have been closer without the interference. This isn't as good a race. And interestingly, he steps up a half a mile in trip. But Goldie trains the full brother as well, Sir Chauvelin. And he's he's one of these horses that would suit you, Bruce, because he's both trip and ground agnostic. His 2 best RPRs have come over 1.5 miles and 2 miles for Chauvelin. So with Goldie knowing the family, and he's probably happy to step this up and trip. And the aforementioned ADV takes the ride. I think Yukon Glen at about 14 to 1, a very fair price.
Okay, you make a great case. I actually think that more horses are trip and ground agnostic than people think. I think everyone gets very precise about it.
There's definitely a case to be made.
If you look at the World Athletics Championships this week, we've had people running the 200 and the 400, the 1500 and the 5000, and of course old Farah runs 5 and 10 regularly. So
well, absolutely. And I mean, I'm a big fan of the Aussie racing, and the way they train their horses is very much trip agnostic. You look at their Melbourne Cup horses; they'll start their campaign over 7 furlongs and work up to 2 miles. A good horse is a good horse is a good horse.
I agree. Lee, who's going to win the Stayers?
I thought Barari, Jamie Spencer, John Best, stable in form, horse very much in form as well. Won his last 2 races very easily. Is improving as he goes up in distance, and I thought there was quite a few disappointing types relative to recently in this one, and a horse in form, going the right way, he'd do for me.
Okay, so Brennan's gone for a 14 to 1 shot in Yukon Glen. Lee's gone for a 10 to 1 shot in Barahi. Who are you going for, James?
I think it's a race I'm going to just stay away from. I don't like this race at all. I'm going to have a look at some of the races later on the card. I think some better bets later on. Okie
dokie. Well, give us a show on the 2:15 then, which is the challenge over... What's the trip here, Lee? I've got...
Mile and a half.
Mile and a half. I've got the old scrolling race details on the mobile app. Yeah, it is a mile and a half. Okay, then. And Niblawi is the favourite, I believe, James.
Yeah, 11 to 4. Perhaps Emma Jane Wilson's best ride. We've got this Mukaram for Tim Eastby's great form. Haley Turner 9 to 2. So it's a good race for the girls. 11 to 2. Spencer's Mount, which is Goda Pauli, Sylvester Kirk's runner, if I'm pronouncing that one correctly. 11 to 2 and 13 to 2. Petit Jack, and bigger prices the rest for this race. This is our 2:15. 4 places, extra place race here with Paddy Power.
Do you fancy anything, James, or do you want to leave the boys to dissect?
I thought it was a race in which the principal runners in the contest were all probably maybe getting up there in terms of their handicap marks. Neil Mulholland's horse up 5 after finishing second here 2 weeks ago. 11 to 4. Perhaps maybe that one.
Okie doke. Lee, have you got a strong fancy?
Not a strong fancy, but I think Neil Mulholland's horse is the most interesting. We're second in a course and distance handicap on King George Day, probably a better race than this. Just got done by Godolphin, heavily unexposed horse. And again with EJW on, following James's ADV thing. No?
Yeah, I've got to say, by the way, Brennan, I'm not a massive fan of abbreviating Dutch names because it's always a V in the middle, isn't it? Oh, no, he's not, though. He's a D in the middle, isn't he? Okay, fair enough. It's valid. 2 votes for Niblawi. Are we going for 3 votes, Brendan?
No, I thought that, as the lad said, it's a trappy race. Petite Jack appealed to me as the best handicap, but I'm not sure about him on the ground. I didn't think Godolphin got a great ride the last day off Warrior. Now, he's a tricky horse because he's trying to be keen, and he was drawn wide, but he never made any attempt. The only time he tried to get him in at all was when he carved up half the opposition in the straight. But he just tanked out wide. He pulled really hard. Now, he's drawn wide again tomorrow, but ridden by Jamie Spencer. Hands of a surgeon, of course, Jamie. This is the ideal horse for him. I don't think he'll get a similar ride. I think he'll bury him on the inside. There should be a bit of pace here. The Easterby horse likes to get on with it. There's a few of them like to get on with it. And I think the £3 rise for his course and distance and ground win the last day underestimates him. I think he can go in again.
OK, I'm talking to Jamie Spencer. I'm just going to give a little plug here for a really fascinating series we've got all week in the Racing Post next week, starting on Monday, called Secrets of the Saddle, where we're talking to various jockeys who've got kind of noted skills. And Jamie, obviously, talking about coming from remote positions to win. So watch out for that. I think that'll be really good. 250 at Ascot is the mile, over a mile. And how do you bet, James Short?
So we have Breakable at the top of the betting market at 5-2 for Tim Easterby. Early morning, the top one is 7-2. Michelle Payne, if she rides, is next in. Brigladoro is 11-2, 7-1 Manson, and 8-1 Nicholas T. 9's bar for this race.
Righty-ho, Lee, you go first.
I thought it was weak. I thought early morning, best horse in the race, won the race last year. Disappointing in the Hunt Cup last time. This is a very different sort of contest. Generally runs well at Ascot. And under Michelle Payne or Holly Doyle, I think he'd have a decent chance.
Righty-ho, Brendan, take it away.
Yeah, I thought it was a bomb site, Bruce. I can see why Breakable is fav. It looks well treated after the Chester win. And the ability to run handy here might be useful. There isn't a whole lot of pace. Breakable if you force me, but the price is unattractive.
James, when you're broadcasting to all the Paddy Power shops tomorrow, I presume when you come to doing the 250, you won't be saying this is a bomb site. Will you be tipping
something close, Bruce? It's not one of the greatest of races. At least this is a colourful event if you're on track. For a punter, I don't know. But early morning, I'm going to stick with Lee in this race. Maybe a slight concern over the ground, but forgive that run in the Hunt Cup and has been consistent beforehand.
Righty-ho, let's do the classic now. Again, it's over a mile and a half. And Kerin McAvoy is riding the favourite, Contango, for Andrew Balding. What's the latest betting, James?
Well, just to say, this is one of our money-back races as well. I like Contango. Has been heading in the right direction. I think this could be a listed horse in a handicap. 9-4 at the top of the betting market for the inform Andrew Balding. Haley Turner's on hold sway, 7-2. Kasparenko's 4-1. And then we have 13-2 appointed, 9-1 Barthouse.
Money back if you're second, third and fourth. It's a great offer, I must say. You'd be mad to miss that. Brendan, you go first. Who's going to win the Classic?
Yeah, I'm reluctant to pass by Kerin. It's so good to see him back. We'll probably find out what we missed at the weekend. But Contango, just the worry is he got £10 for winning a 3-runner race in Newmarket, and the race looked to fall asunder completely. So that kind of put me off him at the price. Hold sway now, in fairness. He also needs to be struggling with his mark, but I'm not sure he's in love with Goodwood the last day, and he has the combination of a step-up and trip and first-time blinkers. I thought that might just be enough to get him over the line here.
Righty-ho, what are you saying, Lee?
I'm saying Bear Valley ran third in the King George's fifth handicap at the Royal meeting. That's clearly a better race than this one. He's back on the same mark after 3 pretty dismal efforts. So normally you'd see a horse with dismal form and you think, oh, no good. But when it's trained by Mark Johnson, they just go run appallingly one Saturday and then they bounce back to winning race the following Saturday. So at a big price, I think Bear Valley probably each way.
How about you, James?
I'm going to stick with the race favourite Contango. I saw that race at Newmarket last day. Small fields. Brendan's point is a valid one. He's gone up 10. It's a bit of a worry. But I think, like the Stable Companion beat the bank, I think this horse is heading in the right direction. I think we'll defy that rise off that 10 and will go very close to winning this one.
Right, let's conclude our look at Ascot with the 4 o'clock. It's the sprint over 6 furlongs and the favourite, surely named after Brendan Duke, Nobly Born.
Yeah, this one's top of the betting market at 9-4. 130 then is Lua Liwa. And then we have Fran Berry on board, Golden Apollo 11-2. Goodwood Crusader for Neil Callan 7-1 and 8-1 bar those in the last.
Brendan, your dad's got a really good horse, hasn't he? I saw something scoot up the other weekend.
Galway, was it?
Galway, yeah. He's an exciting thing, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's Warm the Voice, yes. Well, as you say, I may well be nobly born, Bruce. Perhaps when the Normans came over, my family were leading the line. We slipped somewhat in the intervening years, but perhaps Warm the Voice can return us to our proper place of prominence.
Absolutely.
He's a lovely horse, doesn't he?
He certainly is.
Well, surely Brendan, sort of following the old master Jim Bolger's lead, should be selling this horse to Sheikh Mohammed now.
Yeah, that's
dialing
exactly
up
right.
the main number and getting a few quid.
But making sure it stays in the yard.
In the yard.
That's the key bit, isn't it? Brendan, you go first in the sprint. Who's going to win this?
I thought Nobly Born, I backed it at Newmarket, but I thought it ran pretty well in a hot race and was just a touch keen. Might have been enough to cause them. This should be run at a good clip because that Lewa likes to get on with things over 7 furlongs. So drop back to 6. You'd imagine they won't want to dawdle. I think if Nobly Born settles just a little better, which he could easily do on just his 5th run, he'd be good enough.
Rightio, Lee.
Well, I help Mr. Hughes with his punctuation in the Saturday Racing Post column, but I never seem to back his winners. I back his losers, but I don't back his winners, so ignore me when I say this, but I do like Goodwood Crusader.
Has he given you positive vibes?
Well, yeah, he did give me... and with this horse, he hasn't always given positive vibes. He sort of won a lot of races, I think, when he didn't really expect him to. I backed him last week in the Stewards Cup Consolation race, thinking that was the ideal race for him, but he ran a shocker. But he said to me, he's probably not a sort of horse ideally wants to be in a big field. He's not a big lad, and when the big old sprinters start knocking him around, doesn't really like it. His wins have come in smaller fields, back down to 10 runners here, with Neil Callan aboard. With 2 defeats against his name, you're going to get a decent price against him. But if he goes back to anything like his old form, he'll have a big chance.
Okay, and James, who are you going to go for?
Yeah, quickly, I'm going to go for Kevin Ryan's Lula Weewa in this race. Dropping back, as Brendan says, the 6 from 7 will be up there. Has a nice bit of form with Battered from York back in May. Battered won a Goodwood last week. Kevin Ryan's horses are flying. I'm going to stick with that one.